Hey guys, I'm back with some crazy Reddit stories you do not want to miss. Grab your popcorn because it is about to get messy. Go like and subscribe and tell me in the comments what you will do if you were OP in story 1. Number 1. Am I the a-hole for giving my wife an ultimatum on her male best friend due to what he did before our wedding years ago? My wife and I have been married for about 5 years. And something I learned from her male friend's GF was that he confessed his love to my wife the night before. She told me they got into a fight about this, and figured I should know. So I confronted my wife about this, and she admitted it. I yelled at her and asked how the fuck she could keep this from me and how the fuck she thought it was appropriate to have him at our wedding. She told me she didn't want to ruin our wedding day, and I told she's not fuck stupid enough to not know I'd want to know this. See, this male friend always made me uneasy from the start. She told me that she has no feelings for him. After this, I don't know if I trust her. I told her that if she even wants me to consider staying with her, she needs to cut off her friend. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, I don't think that will actually be enough if you're this mad about it, is the thing. You're gonna need a lot more than an ultimatum if you actually want to stay married. OOP, this would be at least a start. Downvoted commenter, YTA, not so much for the ultimatum than for the concept of not trusting your wife at all. If you don't trust her even after 5 years of marriage, you never will. OOP, she lied to me. She know fully well that this is something I'd want to know. Of course I'm not trusting her right now. Commenter 2, he confessed it to her and she shut him down. So your response is to scream at her years later for not cheating? YTA. OOP, course she hid this from me. This fucker literally wanted her to cancel out wedding so she would be with him, and the showed up like nothing happened and my wife knew. Of course I'm pissed. Downvoted commenter 2, see that's the thing about trust, you either trust somebody or you don't. She lied, and you're mad about it, fair enough. You want yo give ultimatums, arguably alright. But not trusting your own wife of 5 years over this just shows that this person or this incident isn't the actual problem. You'll have bigger issues to sort out IMO. OOP, my trust is shaken. You really think I can just trust her like nothing happened? Downvoted commenter 3, she didn't stop the wedding. You won. She married you. Why would she ruin the wedding over someone else's feelings that she didn't share? And why are you so upset about it 5 years later? Come on. Move on. OOP. Course she still hangs with this guy at least once a week. Downvoted commenter 3, he has a girlfriend. He's moved on. He's obviously not pining away for her. I understand you would be upset but considering it was 5 years ago and she's still with you, not with him, it sounds like everyone has moved on, as adults do. OOP, ex-girlfriend. She literally told me they had a fight over this because he's still obsessed with my wife. Anyway OOP and his wife can work on their marriage? OOP, counseling. I'm not opposed to counseling, but I'm not gonna waste my time if she doesn't even do this. Commenter 3, not the a-hole at all. Trust has to be there. Even with strong trust, though, there has to be honest and a clear transparent approach to protecting your relationship. You shouldn't have to tell her to cut him off, but if she refuses you stand tall and follow your ultimatum. Also you make it clear this means no messages, no social media, no meetups, no parties where this guy will be. Total no contact forever. Clearly he valued his GF enough to tell her but your wife didn't do the same for you. Now I would be wondering if they ever did anything before you came along, FWB or something that you haven't been told. Also let his GF know that if she is staying with him you want to know if she becomes aware of any communication between them at all because you have put some boundaries in place and you will tell her the same if you see something. Update team. OOP, that's what's funny. According to the GF, she had to drag it out of him because she was uncomfortable with how he acted around my wife. 1 month later there is an update. We are currently separated, and I am in the process of divorcing my wife. Honestly, her hesitation of making a choice was too much for me. Just the fact that she needed so long to cut this guy out after he crossed the line and that she has so much trouble making it right for me speaks volumes to me. When I told her this, and that I was leaving her, she tried to convince me and say she will cut him off. I told her it was too late at that point. I told her I don't trust her. I don't want to be with her. I don't want to deal with her again. I've been staying with a friend right now. One thing I wanted to address about my last post that kept coming up. Some of you said, he's over her. He has a GF, and I gotta say, you must be actually brain dead or can't read. His ex-GF literally told me they got in a fight about this because he wasn't over my wife. That's literally why I found out. Course his ex told me about it. His GF was another person caught up in this shit. Relevant top comments. Commenter 1, NTA. I gotta ask, are you going to date his ex at all? OOP, dating is the last thing in my mind right now. I did thank her for telling me. Commenter 2, did your STBXW try to keep you? Or she just let you go with the divorce? OOP, she tried. She said she was sorry, and that she is willing to cut him off. Downvoted commenter, she needs to be free, because you don't trust her for shit, even though she's never done anything wrong, you're punishing her for him. And also he's a piece of shit. She's surrounded by not good dudes. She clearly has horrible taste. But maybe with some time, space and therapy the next one will do right. OOP, she hangs out with the dude who tried to ruin our wedding and never told me. Who the fuck would trust someone like that? OOP needs to cut his wife off while dealing with the divorce. OOP, as much as I'd like to leave her behind, there are monetary assets and legal issues we need to deal with. So sadly, I can't completely cut her off just yet. Commenter 3, honestly, her hesitation of making a choice was too much for me. Wow. I get it. WTF was there to hesitate about? Hope you're doing okay, OP. This is a lot. Number 2. My husband won't speak to me after finding out I'm pregnant. This was a very much planned pregnancy after dealing with infertility for a long time. However, despite dealing with unexplained infertility for so long, he always refused to get tested. He remained optimistic that we would get pregnant eventually. The thought of doing a semen analysis repulsed him so much it sent him into a downward spiral of self-hatred and insecurity. Then, surprise! I got pregnant unassisted. This should be a really exciting time for us, but all of a sudden he doesn't want to be a dad. He says he wants a divorce so I can start over with someone else. He's already found a new place to live and is in the process of moving out. He won't speak to me. He won't answer any of my questions. I'm completely and utterly confused and heartbroken. Now, I know a lot of you will say he never wanted to be a dad. It sure seems that way. But he desperately wanted us to get pregnant when we were struggling. It was just the thought that something might be wrong with him that sent him into a spiral. I love my husband, but he very clearly has some undiagnosed mental issues. He is not thinking or seeing clearly, and some of the things he's been saying seem genuinely delusional. But he won't get help. He's stubborn as hell. You'd think he would know better because he's a doctor, but nope. He says he knows something is wrong with him, but he doesn't care. He wants to disappear. I really, really want this baby. We're in our 30s and have been trying for so long. I'm afraid the stress of this will cause me to miscarry. That's probably what he wants. I don't understand why this is happening. How can you force someone to get help when he doesn't want to get better? How am I supposed to raise a child without him? I'm financially dependent on him because that was what we planned for. TLDR, my husband has gone off the deep end after finding out I'm pregnant, and I don't know how to bring him back to reality and make him sane again. Edit, after talking this through in the comments, it's becoming increasingly obvious to me that my husband is not mentally well. I didn't include his entire history in this post because I thought it best to keep it relevant to this specific situation. But he has had episodes like this before. I'm shocked it wasn't so obvious to me that something was wrong with him. I've suggested therapy in the past, but he has had bad experiences and refuses to try again. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, is there anyone is his family or maybe a friend that he listens to? OOP, maybe his mom? He talks to his dad the most, but I don't think they ever touch on anything deep or emotional. I don't think he'll talk to anyone about this. When I asked how he will explain our divorce to his family and friends, he simply said that he just won't tell them because it is none of their business and they don't need to know. He genuinely seems borderline delusional if he believes he can just quietly divorce me without anyone knowing. Commenter 2, is it possible he thinks you cheated? I'm absolutely, 100% not saying you did, but I have seen it happen to couples who fall pregnant after having long-term fertility trouble that don't go the IVF route. OOP, I honestly don't even think the thought crossed his mind. He definitely would have accused me, asked me if he thought I cheated. Now that you bring it up, I'm actually surprised he doesn't think this. It would fit perfectly with the thought patterns he does share with me. Was OOP's husband diagnosed as sterile? Counseling might be helpful for him to deal with his health issues. OOP, no, he was never diagnosed as anything because he refused to get a semen analysis. We've had a chemical pregnancy before, so he knows he can get me pregnant. Throughout our entire infertility process, he was always extremely confident and optimistic that it would happen eventually. He thought it was unnecessary that we do any testing. I would love for him to go to counseling. He needs it. But he's been mistreated by the mental health industry before, so he no longer trusts therapists. Update 3 days later. Most of the comments on my last post were so helpful. They helped me see things about my husband and marriage that I didn't see before but were so obvious. Some people suggested that his behavior was abusive. It's not. I now know that he's severely mentally ill. After that post, a few days later he came to me and told me he wanted to kill himself. He made sure I knew that he had no plans to actually kill himself, just that he really wanted to die. The next day I reported his behavior to his employer. I really wish I had done it anonymously because I felt that they didn't take me seriously at all. I got the impression that they thought I was a scorned ex trying to enact revenge. Anyway, I have no idea what came of it, but at least I did my duty in reporting it. Now that my eyes have been opened, I've noticed a lot more erratic behavior coming from him, and it's true that he should not be treating patients in his state of mind. Some of you suggested that he never truly wanted a baby. This couldn't be further from the truth. The majority of the time, he is such a normal, kind husband, and he would speak so fondly of our future family. I truly believe that that is the real and true him, and that the man spiraling out in front of me is not who my husband really is. Anyway, not much has changed. He's actually still living with me but sleeping on the couch. Actually, I don't think he's doing much sleeping. I hear him up at all hours of the night. One night he came into bed with me and just held me. But the next morning it was like it had never happened. He's still adamant about the divorce but somehow thinks we can do it without telling anyone or involving lawyers. He also wants to create a dating profile for me and set me up with someone else so that I can see that I'd be much better off with someone other than him. I of course told him no. He will not listen to me when I tell him I want to be with him. He brushes me off and says I'm not thinking clearly. He refuses therapy or medication. He says he doesn't want to feel better. He doesn't care that he's irrational and depressed. He simply doesn't care. He just doesn't want to get better. I'm still pregnant, and he still wants nothing to do with it. I'm so afraid I'm going to lose this pregnancy due to stress. I'm currently 5W2D. The chances that I will miscarry are still high and I'm dreading the day I find out that I've lost everything, my husband and my baby. I don't know what I would do. Edit, I am getting so goddamn frustrated with people in the comments who are telling me I'm not doing enough because I'm unable to get my husband involuntarily committed to a hospital. I have zero control over this. I have spoken to a police officer as well as someone from the suicide hotline. A person cannot be committed unless they are an immediate threat to themselves or others. And it does not matter what I tell them. He has only told me that he wants to kill himself, not that he plans on doing it. And I will not lie to the police. Additionally, even if I did lie, they will still speak to him and take his statement into account. And if they do not believe he is an immediate threat, they cannot do anything. If you're just going to chastise me for not doing enough, aka not involuntarily committing my husband to a hospital, then please don't comment because, and I cannot stress this enough, there aren't any scenarios where a wife has the authority to commit their spouse involuntarily to the hospital. I fucking checked. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. I think he is past the point of being able to make healthy decisions for himself, and needs to be seen by a doctor even if it is against his will. OOP. Unfortunately no one can be forced to see a doctor against their will unless they are actively a danger to themselves or others. He's allowed to have thoughts of wanting to kill himself. Intervention can only happen if he has given any indication that he will hurt himself. This is information given to me per the suicide hotline I chatted with the night he told me he wanted to kill himself. Commenter 2, OP, he really sounds like someone who is experiencing mania or psychosis. While these folks are generally not a danger to others, the fact that he wants to be dead and is erratic in his behavior tells me that it is possible he may attempt to harm himself in a moment of impulsivity. If his work won't do anything, you may be able to call in a wellness check. Write down a list of the things you have heard him say and do. OOP, I spoke to the suicide hotline the night he told me he wanted to kill himself. I was told that technically anyone can call in a wellness check, but nothing can really be done unless he's an active threat to himself or others. If someone were to come do a wellness check on him, he knows exactly what to say to get them to back off. Commenter 3, surely, there is a licensing board in your state you can report his behavior to? OOP, I guess I could do that. I'm not sure what I'd say. When I told his employer, they didn't really see the issue. They kind of made it seem like I shouldn't be airing out his dirty laundry, and told me that many doctors suffer from depression and that it's not a reason to keep them from practicing. When I tried to describe the unusual behavior, I think they interpreted it more as marriage troubles. Commenter 4, is it possible he had convinced himself he's infertile and thinks you cheated? Because this all spiraled with the pregnancy news. He is in a really bad place. OOP, no, he's been spiraling somewhat prior to this. But not as severe and not for as long. This is just the worst episode. It was always short-lived and mild enough that I just wrote it off. He definitely doesn't think I cheated or else he would be talking about. Commenter 5, any possibility of help from his family or friends? I know you told me his mom can be dismissive but he's not sleeping and having suicidal thoughts. You can't reason with him and doubt you can have him committed. I hope you are seeking outside support for yourself. OOP, I ended up calling his mom and telling her. Not about the pregnancy though, she called him to see how he was doing and then texted me to tell me that he seems fine. Second update 8 days later. I posted a couple weeks ago about my husband not speaking to me after finding out we were pregnant. This is very much a wanted, planned pregnancy. But the positive test results sent him into a mental health spiral of sorts. I wish I could say I have good updates, but I don't. Also, not much has changed. We're still living together in the same house. However, he has converted his office to his new bedroom. He mostly doesn't speak to me, but he has had moments of clarity where he acts normal and excited about the baby. However, it never lasts long because when I try to talk to him about getting help he just shuts down and goes back to his weird delusions. Sometimes he talks to me about how he wants me to move out. He wants me to go on dates and find someone else to be the father of our baby. He also suggested I get an abortion. He continues to tell me he wants to die, and thinks daily about killing himself. I've spoken to someone at the suicide hotline twice now, and have been told there's nothing I can do to force him to get help. The hospital police will not commit him involuntarily just because he says he wants to kill himself. He has to have an actual plan to kill himself. I've seen glimpses of him in a normal state, so I know my husband is still in there. But he absolutely refuses to get help. He says he'd rather die than talk to a therapist. Says he doesn't deserve to feel better and that he just wants to fade away and disappear. My MIL won't help. I think she thinks I'm overreacting. I already contacted his employer and the medical board. No one seems to think there's an issue, and I'm starting to question whether I'm the insane one. I've looked into places I can stay and there's really no options other than staying in my home. If I leave, I may potentially forfeit the right to the house in the event of a divorce. I had my first prenatal appointment and everything looks fine. But it's still so early and with all the stress I'm under there's still a chance I'll miscarry. I really don't want to but I'm bracing for the worst. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, have you seen a divorce attorney? I really think you should so you understand the process and what you can and cannot expect to get once divorced. I'm a facts-based person, and I believe you can't go wrong knowing more about any situation. OOP, no, but I guess that might be my next step. Commenter 2, at this point, you need to put yourself first. This doesn't sound like a good or stable situation. I wouldn't even keep the baby if I were in your shoes. Good luck. OOP, this was a very wanted and planned pregnancy. I am very pro-choice, but I can't justify myself getting an abortion for a baby that we tried for literally years. Commenter 3, any chance that your husband is faking it? It sounds like he's not exhibiting this behavior at work or with other people, just with you. Now, I have no idea his reason. Maybe he's got a girlfriend and wants to drive you out? Of course I could be wrong, but my spider senses are tingling with this one. In any event, see a lawyer ASAP to make sure you know your rights and what you're legally entitled to. Don't believe anything your husband says in this, or any, regard. OOP, he's not. He admitted to me that he wishes he would get fired so he wouldn't have to quit. And apparently he has cut off contact with his family and friends. I was not aware of that before. Any chance that OOP's husband is in psychosis? OOP, I've never referred to him as being in a psychosis. I've called him delusional because the things he says about himself are delusional. He talks about how everyone hates him, he doesn't deserve to live, he's a worthless human being, etc. He wants to set me up with other men so that I can see how terrible and awful he is and how I can apparently do so much better. This kind of talk is delusional. He's also been recalling memories incorrectly. We had a happy marriage up until this point. He knows I love him and that I think is more than good enough for me. But he's adamant that he's a piece of garbage and deserves to suffer. He says all of this as if it were fact, not his opinion. And when I try to say anything to counter it, he shuts it down. He cannot comprehend the fact that he is worth something. He is so sure that he is the worst human being on the planet. In reality, he has a loving wife, a fantastic fulfilling job, a supportive family, friends, hobbies, etc. We have no major life concerns such as illness, unless you count this mental illness, debt, etc. He has every reason to believe that he is worth something and is very much loved, but he fully cannot even comprehend it. And something is different in his eyes when he speaks like this. I can't explain it, but it's not my husband. Third update 3 months later. A lot has changed but at the same time, I feel like I'm in the same position as I was 2 months ago. I was never able to get my husband involuntarily committed for a psych evaluation. However, he eventually hit rock bottom and decided he needed help on his own. It happened shortly after the last time I posted, because he has been on medication for about 2 months now. We even found a therapist that he really likes, however, his schedule makes it literally impossible to go therapy on a regular basis. So he's only seen this therapist twice. I was literally so proud of him. He was proactive and committed. However, things really haven't gotten much better. He continues to be suicidal. In fact, he mentions killing himself a lot more frequently. The psychiatrist recently took him off the first medication and now he's trying a new one. I know it's a process to get the right combination a dose of medication before it really starts to work. I am exhausted. And not because of the pregnancy. But because I've become his caretaker and punching bag. Not literally. He's never been physically abusive and he has never really called me names. But sometimes when he is spiraling, he will push me away, figuratively, by saying things that he knows hurt me. He'll tell me to go be with someone else, to find a new dad for the baby. He'll accuse me of never loving him, and only using him so I could have a baby. He tries so hard to convince me to leave him, and I'm just so tired of it. It sounds selfish, but I can't take it. He has not stopped threatening to kill himself. I don't know what to do anymore. I know the baby feels everything that I feel, and that kills me. I am giving this poor child the worst start to its life. I should be experiencing joy and relaxation. Instead I am constantly in fight or flight mode. Anyway, I've made a plan in case I need it. I need him to be better before the baby comes. I have already met with a lawyer in case I decide I've had enough. I was able to get legal advice and now I have a lawyer on standby who already has all the information. But I feel like we're racing against the clock. I told him if he's not significantly better by the time the baby comes, I'm going to go visit my family and give birth there. Does that seem fair? I feel guilty about it because technically he is trying to get better and it could take a while. He's doing everything he should be doing, I guess. But I have to protect myself and I have to protect my baby, and having the baby in another state, and staying there, getting a job, etc., will make it much more difficult for him to get custody if it comes to that. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Go to your family now. Tell him it's not permanent, but he needs space to get better and you need to be off the emotional roller coaster because it isn't good for the pregnancy. If he gets himself help, sees the therapist regularly, gets the meds dosed right, etc., you can always return to him once the baby is here. OOP, I can't. Going to my family in another state is like a very last resort. I have pets here and I can't leave them. And I also can't bring them. I wouldn't have a room at my family's house. OOP's husband needs to seek inpatient treatment. OOP, inpatient treatment wouldn't work with his work schedule, and he can't take time off. I wish he would, because I agree it would probably be the best thing for him and could help get him stabilized. But he would have to completely redo a year of residency if he took that much time off of work. If he takes FMLA, he'll have to completely redo a year of his residency. He found a therapist he wants to work with, so he's trying to figure out a way to make it work with his schedule, but it's not going well. And yes, his job is indeed that inflexible. And no, it is not good for his mental health. Medical residency is kinda infamous for that. Update 3.5 months later. So it seems my only option is to separate for the sake of my child. I need to raise my baby in a stable environment and I can't do that with him. He has stated that if I choose to leave him, he will still provide financially for the baby. But I'm concerned that once he sees how much he will owe in child support and alimony, he will try to get 50/50 custody to avoid paying CS. And if he has custody, then it kind of defeats the whole purpose of me leaving him. My state defaults to 50/50 custody, and I have heard too many stories of women having to share custody with their abusive exes despite having proof of abuse, and sometimes even when their ex has been convicted of DV. I am extremely fearful that he will be able to convince the courts that he is stable. He has a good job, pediatrician, and a fantastic reputation in the community. People adore him. I adored him. But he isn't the same man I married and I'm scared. Legally, what would you recommend to a woman in my situation? I have no local family or friends. I'd prefer not to move out of our home due to the fact that I'm 8 months pregnant, I have pets, and the nursery is already set up. I think I may be able to convince him to move out, but after that, I'm not sure what my next step is. Relevant comments. OOP needs to consider the divorce and get full custody of her child. OOP, I don't even want to divorce my husband, let alone take his child from him. What I want is for him to be mentally well enough to parent so that we can be a happy family. Separating him from the baby is a last resort and it has nothing to do with being my side of the story. His side of the story is him pretty much saying the same thing, and if you read my post thoroughly you'd see that. He has stated over and over, in text, so I have proof, that he is an unfit father, doesn't want the baby, and also doesn't want to get better mentally. My concern is that since he is not fully stable, he will suddenly change his mind about wanting the baby, but still refuse to get treated for his mental illness. OOP responds to a comment regarding her husband putting the controls on their marriage. OOP. You hesitate and have the child where you are putting all the power in your unstable, wealthy and from the sounds of it, emotionally abusive, selfish and vindictive husband's hands. You have to rely on asking him to pretty please move out, pay child support, have no custody and get help. If he hasn't been willing to do that to save your marriage, he probably won't be doing it to ease your divorce. You're so completely right. I hate this. But you worded this to be the exact wake-up call I needed. Yes, my family lives in a good state for supporting mothers. But I'm too pregnant to fly there and it's on the other coast, so road tripping would take probably over a week. I guess that's my only option though. Update 10 months after the last one. I started using this account over 2 years ago to post about infertility. Eventually, my husband and I got pregnant after 2 years of trying. Unfortunately, immediately upon getting pregnant, he fell into a deep mental health spiral. Check my post history for details and context. There's a lot. Anyway, it's been many months since my baby was born and I've been doing a lot of reflecting. Towards the end of my pregnancy, I was planning on leaving my husband. It was clear he was severely mentally ill and dangerous to himself. I was trying to figure out a way to get out of the state so I could give birth far away. Unfortunately, I gave birth almost a month early unexpectedly. After my baby was born, my husband appeared to do a 180. It was like the bad stuff never even happened, and he hasn't had a single mental health episode since. It's like he just snapped out of it. He's been, mostly, the perfect dad ever since. And even though that was the best outcome I could have hoped for, this isn't a happy update. Being a mother, I now know what unconditional love is, and my husband never deserved mine. Even though he's better now, and that's all I thought I wanted, I cannot let go of my resentment. Every day I feel like I hate him more and more. What he put me through was abuse, plain and simple. And at the end, he got rewarded with the most perfect baby in the world. And now I'm just here, expected to be a perfect wife and mother like nothing ever happened. But it did happen. Even though I sometimes question whether the whole thing was some weird pregnancy-induced fever dream. It wasn't. There's no plot twist here. He's aware of my resentment towards him, but he thinks it will go away in time. However, I've only found that it's gotten worse over time. Of course, he still refuses therapy. Couples therapy included. So I see no resolution here. I feel like I'm stuck. And yes, I know I only have myself to blame for not getting out in time, but alas, here we are. The way I see it, I have several options. I can divorce him. And most days, this is what I feel like I want. But then I really think about what divorce would mean, and it would mean my husband gets automatic 50/50ths custody of our child. And that thought truly makes me sick to my stomach. I've met with a lawyer. Despite everything my husband put me through while I was pregnant, none of it is enough to take custody from him. In the state that I live in, even domestic abusers get automatic 50/50ths custody unless there was abuse done to their children. Or I could stay and try to stick it out for my son by trying to let go of my anger and resentment. But I don't know how to do that. How can I forgive a man who doesn't think he's done anything that needs to be forgiven? I've been doing therapy for myself, but my therapist keeps pushing my husband and I to do couples counseling, which he refuses. I guess I just need help talking through my options with some neutral third-party POVs. Thank you in advance for any advice you can give. Commenter 1, I wouldn't leave my kid alone with a guy who is mentally ill and suicidal. Also, he refuses therapy. OOP, right? I don't want to. But the general consensus seems to be that I need to divorce him. I can't divorce him without conceding some amount of custody of my child to him. Commenter 2, I find it hard to believe that dad would get 50/50 for a newborn. OOP, we're out of the newborn stage. We're closer to his first birthday. OOP on having another child with her husband. OOP, I'm one and done. No more. Commenter 3, is there any documentation of your husband's mental health struggles? Doctor's visits? Hospitalizations? Maybe even your dated Reddit posts could serve as evidence. It's worth asking your lawyer. I'm not saying this because I think it would get you full custody, but it could maybe get you a custody evaluation, where a professional would take a closer look. My husband and his ex has an evil, and they both got full psych screenings, and maybe make therapy a requirement for 50/50 custody. Anyone who would refuse therapy after that kind of struggle is a selfish prick. OOP, just text messages and some voice memos I took of him while he was suicidal. My lawyer went through everything. He said it was damning evidence that my husband is a POS, but not the kind of POS that a court would deny access to his child. Commenter 4, so, this shady, and not sure it will work, but can you visit family in a state you want to live and have support, and get a driver's license there with their address and maybe put a utility, internet bill, into your name to establish residency. Maybe even get a WFH job while there. Go back to your current residence, and get an exit plan in place. You purge stuff you don't need, if possible get a storage unit and start putting stuff you don't need currently in there, family treasures, etc. Just doing some decluttering and spring cleaning, if questions are asked. Don't forget your important personal documents, marriage certificate, birth certificates, SS cards. And when the opportunity presents itself, you haul us out of there. Just an idea. Good luck. OOP, per my lawyer, I can't do this as it would be considered kidnapping. I was advised to do it before the baby came, which was my plan, but I was thwarted by his premature arrival. So tell me, what will you do if you were OP?